Hollywood sold us a lie. The image of the muscle-bound Viking tearing into a giant turkey leg? Mostly fiction. The real secret to the superhuman strength of ancient warriors, the Spartans, the Romans, the Vikings, wasn't massive amounts of meat. It was something far more strategic, and in many ways, way more brutal. They didn't eat for pleasure, they ate for pure performance. Their bodies were war engines, and their fuel wasn't found in a butcher shop, but grown from the earth. Forget modern protein powders and supplements. The key to their legendary power was a handful of specific, overlooked crops. Today, we're digging up the 10 ancient plants that built the world's most legendary fighters. I guarantee a few of these will surprise you, and by the end, you'll be looking at your own pantry in a whole new light.
Before we dive deep, join our community of curious minds. Subscribe to The Career Botanist for the hidden science of nature. Let's begin. To the naked eye, it is just nature, but look closer. It is engineering, it is economics, it is survival. Welcome to the hidden side of biology. This is modern botany.
Let's start with the undisputed king of warrior grains, a crop so important it literally defined a class of fighters: barley. For the Spartans, barley wasn't just food, it was a statement. While other Greeks might have seen wheat as the food of the softer city dwellers, Spartans chose barley for its rugged, functional power. Their diet was brutally simple, designed to build strength and discipline. This was the carbohydrate that fueled the infamous agoge, the hardcore training that started in childhood. It was baked into dense, hard bread and was the main ingredient in their most notorious dish, the melos zomos, or black broth, made with pig's blood, vinegar, and salt. But it wasn't just the Spartans. Across the Mediterranean, Roman gladiators were so tied to this grain, they were nicknamed hordeari, literally the barley eaters. And this isn't just ancient gossip. Archaeology backs it up. An analysis of a gladiator graveyard in Ephesus, Turkey, confirmed they were carb-loading on a massive scale. Their diet was almost entirely plant-based, with barley and beans as the cornerstones. But this wasn't for getting shredded. The high-carb diet was a deliberate plan to build up a layer of subcutaneous fat. This fat padding acted as a defense in the arena, protecting nerves and blood vessels from an opponent's blade. A shallow cut would bleed like crazy for the crowd, but it wouldn't take the gladiator out of the fight. Barley gave them the cheap, dense calories for both this protective layer and the explosive energy they needed for combat.
If barley was the grain of the gladiator and the Spartan, then wheat, especially tough kinds like spelt and emmer, was the engine of the Roman Empire. The Roman military wasn't just brilliant with swords, it was a masterpiece of logistics that conquered continents with supply lines. And the most critical supply of all was frumentum, their grain ration. Every legionary got a daily portion of about 2 pounds of grain, which he had to carry and cook himself. This wasn't some soft, fluffy bakery bread. This was survival fuel. Soldiers would grind the grain themselves with small hand mills in their 8-man tent group, the contubernium. From this flour, they'd make one of 2 meals. The first was a coarse, unleavened bread called panis militaris, which was often so hard they had to soak it in water or wine just to eat it. The second, and probably more common meal on the march, was pulse. This was a thick, hearty porridge made by boiling the cracked wheat with water and salt. Imagine marching 20 miles a day in full gear, digging trenches, and then having to make your own dinner from raw grain. Wheat provided the slow-release carbs essential for that incredible endurance. It was the reliable, portable power source that let Roman legions march from the misty forests of Germany to the deserts of Syria. The empire wasn't just built on roads, it was fueled by wheat.
Now let's head north into the cold, harsh lands of the Vikings. Up here, in the rocky soil and short growing seasons of Scandinavia, wheat just couldn't cut it. The true staple, the grain that was as tough and stubborn as the Norse people themselves, was rye. Rye is an incredibly hardy crop. It thrives in poor, sandy soil and can handle cold, wet weather that would kill other grains. For the Vikings, this wasn't a choice, it was survival. Rye, along with barley, was the foundation of the Viking diet. It was ground into a dark, heavy flour for making dense flatbreads. We're not talking about the artisan sourdough rye you buy today. Viking bread was often a rustic, multigrain brick, and when times were tough, the flour might be bulked out with pea flour or even tree bark to make it last. This bread was the perfect tool for sopping up every last drop of their stews, known as scouse, a boiled mix of whatever meat, fish, and vegetables they had. On long sea voyages, dried rye flatbreads were essential, a durable, calorie-dense ration that wouldn't spoil. Rye's ability to grow where other grains failed gave the Vikings the food security they needed to build their ships, raise their families, and ultimately, change the course of history. While rye and barley were the workhorses of the Viking field, another grain played a key role: oats. We think of oatmeal as a healthy breakfast today, and for the Vikings it was pretty much the same, a quick, powerful energy source to kick off a day of hard labor or raiding. The morning meal, or dagmal, was often a simple hot porridge made from oats boiled with water or milk. This gave them the slow-release carbs to power through the morning without feeling weighed down. Like rye, oats were perfect for the northern climate, making them a reliable crop. But they weren't just for porridge. Oat flour was often mixed with rye or barley flour for their daily flatbreads, adding its own texture and nutrients. And it wasn't just for people. Oats were also a primary food for their horses, the very animals that carried them into battle. This dual purpose made oats an incredibly efficient crop. In a world where every single resource was precious, a grain that could feed both the warrior and his horse was priceless. It was the simple, no-nonsense fuel that provided the immediate power a Viking needed, whether he was swinging a battle axe or a wood axe. Hollywood has sold us a myth of the chiseled, steak-fed gladiator. The archaeological truth, however, is way more interesting and flips modern gym wisdom on its head. We've established they were called barley eaters, but barley was only one half of the power couple. The other critical component? Beans. When scientists studied the bones of gladiators from Ephesus, they found a diet built on the powerful duo of barley and beans. This wasn't some poor man's meal. It was a highly specialized performance-enhancing regimen. Legumes like fava beans, lentils, and chickpeas were the protein backbone of their mostly vegetarian diet. Combining a grain like barley with a legume like beans creates a complete protein, giving you all the essential amino acids for muscle repair and growth. It's the same idea behind classic food pairings like rice and beans, and it was used for maximum effect by the ancient world's most elite fighters. This plant-based combo fueled the grueling, hours-long training sessions and was cheap and easy to store, perfect for the gladiator schools that had to feed dozens of these massive athletes. The gladiator's strength wasn't born from expensive meat. It was built on the humble, powerful partnership of grains and beans. All right, we're halfway through the crops that built the warriors of the ancient world. If you're digging this deep dive into historical nutrition as much as I am, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. We go against the grain here, uncovering the forgotten facts of history that challenge everything you thought you knew. Join the shield wall, and let's get back to it. Superhuman strength isn't just about big muscles. It's about having a system that can fight off sickness, especially when you're packed into close quarters on a military campaign. Roman legionaries were constantly at risk from bad sanitation and foreign diseases. One of their secret weapons against this invisible enemy might have been cabbage. The Romans were masters of food preservation, and writers like Cato the Elder absolutely raved about the health benefits of cabbage, claiming it could help with everything from ulcers to sleeplessness. We now know cabbage is packed with vitamin C, fiber, and compounds that fight inflammation and protect your gut. While we can't say for sure that every soldier had a stash of sauerkraut, we do know the Romans preserved vegetables with salt. Given their belief in its medicinal power, carrying preserved cabbage would have been a logical way to armor plate their digestive systems. It was a cheap, functional food that could keep the legions healthy and marching, fighting off sickness from the inside out. In the sun-drenched Mediterranean, one tree was worth its weight in gold, the olive tree. For both the Greeks and the Romans, olives and their precious oil were a cornerstone of life, and for their warriors, they were a source of dense, healthy, and portable energy. While Spartan diets were famously strict, they still included things like cheese and figs, and olive oil was a fundamental source of calories and healthy fats throughout Greece. Unlike the quick burst from carbs, fats offer a slow-burning, long-lasting fuel, perfect for endurance. A Roman soldier on a long patrol or a Greek hoplite holding a phalanx for hours needed that kind of sustained energy. Olive oil is incredibly calorie-dense, so a small amount delivered a big energy boost without weighing a soldier down. It was drizzled over bread or porridge, used in cooking, and likely even consumed on its own. Beyond just energy, olive oil is rich in antioxidants and monounsaturated fats that help reduce inflammation, a huge benefit for a body constantly stressed by training and combat. Olives were liquid gold, providing lasting power and helping the warrior's body recover. Long before energy gels and sports bars, ancient athletes needed a quick, portable, and easily digestible sugar source for a rapid energy burst. For the Greeks, the perfect solution grew on trees: figs. Dried figs were a go-to training food for early Olympic athletes, prized for providing immediate fuel. In fact, records show that Charmus of Sparta, who won the 200-meter race at the Olympics in 668 BC, trained on a diet composed mainly of dried figs. Think of them as nature's original power bar. Figs are packed with natural sugars, glucose and fructose, that the body can convert to energy in a flash. They're also incredibly rich in minerals like potassium, which is vital for muscle function and preventing cramps. Plus, dried figs are lightweight, tough, and don't spoil easily, making them the perfect food to stuff in a pouch for a long march or to scarf down right before a competition. For the broader world of Greek warriors and athletes, figs were a treasured source of quick, natural power that could provide a critical edge right when it was needed most. Life in the Viking Age was a constant battle against the seasons. Summer was a time of plenty, but the long, dark Scandinavian winter was a time of survival. To make it through, Vikings became masters of food preservation, and one of their most important stockpiles was dried fruits and berries. In the warmer months, they foraged for wild apples, plums, raspberries, and bilberries. These were laid out to dry in the cool air, a simple and effective way to preserve them for months. These dried fruits weren't a treat, they were a lifeline. During winter, when fresh produce was gone, they provided a much-needed source of calories and vitamins. On long sea voyages, these dried fruits were an invaluable, lightweight, energy-dense ration that offered a welcome burst of sweetness to an otherwise boring diet of dried fish and hardtack. For a Viking warrior, these preserved fruits were like a concentrated form of summer sunlight, a stored source of energy that helped them endure the darkness of winter in the vastness of the open ocean. The final crop on our list isn't one that was always planted in neat rows. It's the huge variety of root vegetables and wild greens that warriors, especially Vikings, foraged or grew. These were the unsung heroes of the ancient diet, providing the vitamins and minerals needed for a healthy immune system. The Viking diet, while having plenty of meat and fish, also included a surprising amount of plant matter. They grew hardy vegetables like cabbage, onions, and leeks, which usually ended up in the communal stew pot, the scouse. But beyond their small farm plots, they were expert foragers, gathering wild plants like nettle, wild carrots, and watercress. These greens were packed with micronutrients. Nettles, for example, are surprisingly high in iron and vitamin C. This was free nutrition, a way to supplement their diet and bolster the body's defenses. Many of these vegetables were also pickled, ensuring a supply of vitamins through the longest winter. This mix of cultivated roots and foraged greens provided a foundation of health that pure muscle and carb loading could never achieve on their own. It was the deep, earthy wisdom that ensured a warrior wasn't just strong, but truly resilient. So, what's the takeaway from the diets of these legendary warriors? It wasn't about exotic superfoods or complicated meal plans. It was about brutal simplicity and ruthless function. Their strength came from a foundation of whole, unprocessed crops, dense grains like barley and wheat for endurance, protein-rich beans for muscle, fermented foods for gut resilience, and hearty vegetables and fruits for the micronutrients that held it all together. These diets weren't romantic. The Spartan black broth was famously disgusting to outsiders. Viking bread was sometimes stretched with tree bark. Roman soldiers ate the same bland porridge day after day. But it worked. They understood that food is fuel. They ate for performance, not pleasure, and in doing so, they build bodies capable of incredible feats. They show us that the foundation of real physical power isn't in a supplement bottle, but in the simple, powerful crops that have sustained us for thousands of years. The real secret to superhuman strength, it turns out, has been in the ground beneath our feet all along. What would you eat if you were training for a battle? Let me know in the comments.